Thank goodness.
Welcome to the HEX Late Show. It's 43 OG with you here tonight, and I've got Jexer in the back. There's just two of us, so let's kick it off.
What's going on, buddy? How you going, mate? Yeah, going really well.
Yeah. That's good, mate. That's good. What's happening in Australia? What's going on in Australia, mate?
It's getting warm. It's like 34 degrees over this way, so it's pool weather now. I can see that you're rugging up over your way, so it must be getting a little bit chilly over there.
Freezing my tits off.
But the good thing is you'd be very close to a lot of cool places to go skiing and snowboarding.
This is true. Although it's not on the agenda.
Oh, you got to do that while you're over there.
Hey?
You got to do that while you're over there.
You were right, but mate, with the kids that I have at the ages I have, it's just not. It won't be fun. It won't be fun. Wait till like when the youngest is a bit older. When the youngest is like old enough to just, take lessons, I guess. And otherwise, it's just not. It would just be like
you can leave them at home, mate. You go with some mates.
Yeah,
you get away with that.
Yeah, maybe not. So yeah, dude, Bluey in our chat posted a really interesting video, a Martin North video where they were discussing what's going on with money, like paper money that you have in your hands, cash, in Australia. What there was? Do you have any background on this? I really would have liked Bluey to be here, but
yeah, like I watched a little bit of it. I got the general gist of it, and it harks back to, I think it was probably 12 or 18 months ago. We had a similar conversation about the Australia Post outlets becoming banks and things like that. But I think the general gist of the video that I got, and you might want to elaborate a little bit more, is we know this. There's a fair bit of corruption in our system, and the banks are sort of leading the way in terms of a lot of policy and things like that, which we sort of knew was happening. They've got all the power to lobby for certain things. So
and the banking commission, the lack of I guess punitive measures after the Banking Royal Commission. Like, who really got in trouble?
Yeah, so no one got in trouble, and I think the everyone that was part of the investigation or the review was pretty much stacked with people that were bank friendly. So it had been sort of the odds had been sort of tipped in their favour. So I don't think really anything came out of it, to be honest, in terms of any meaningful, like you say, punitive things that would happen to any of the big banks, or more importantly, any of the CEOs or anyone that's in charge, because I think that's where they were trying to angle, was that they might be able to put criminal charges on people if they're doing the wrong thing, which basically got watered down to nothing as far as I understand. Is that?
Yeah. So basically, just for the people in the chat, Tangent sends his apologies. He's going to see Jordan Peterson. I don't think that was a secret. So he's going to see him, which would be awesome. That would be an awesome experience, going to see him talk. And so what happened? What happened was there were going to be some measures, and you really need to go and see this Martin North video. I'll see if I can bring it up just so that you guys can go check it out. Just bear with me 1 second. The guy's called Martin North, and his channel is called Walk the World. And look, this probably doesn't relate that much to guys overseas. It's more an Australian thing.
I don't know. I think there's a common flavour that seems to be going across the globe at the moment.
You're right. You're right. However, like the action that this video asks the viewer to take is very much Australian focused.
Oh, yeah,
so if you're an Australian, and let me just bring it up. Just bear with me. Share this. Go. So I'll just bring it up. This is Walk the World. And the video is this one, The Front Line in the War on Cash. So, I mean, I'm not going to reiterate what they talk about. I mean, it's not that long. It's a 43-minute interview. But in the description down below, he gives some links and like a message for people to either call or email their like certain senators in their state. So
MPs.
Something that you guys, if you feel passionately about this sort of thing, if you think money's important, maybe before we go into that, maybe we should like make the case for why do we think it's important that money is always available for citizens, like cash money is available for citizens. I would say that the first thing, which is probably not considered that much by people, is that because we've always got the internet and we've always got electricity, but if we were in a situation where there was, disaster or war or something to that effect, internet's down, electricity, the grid's not working. How do you pay for stuff? And that's why bank branches are important. You need to be able to go into a bank branch, because if the power's down, you can't go to an ATM, can you? So what do you do?
I think even if the power was down, you would not even be able to go into a branch and do anything.
But at least if there was that, look, maybe you're right, but at least if there was, if the infrastructure's there, but if the infrastructure's there, then they can take cash to the branch, and then people can go in and just get the cash and they can count it out like they used to. Like what happens in that situation? How do you pay for stuff? How do you even
see the apocalyptic thing? I don't think that's the big risk, because
that's one risk. What else is there? What else have we got?
So with apocalyptic stuff, they'll find a way. If they needed to take suitcases of cash down to a local hall and hand it out, they would hand it out. So I don't think that's an issue. Yep. It's more when we're functioning in quotes normally. There's people that don't have access to all the banking infrastructure all the time, or they, for whatever reason that is. So they should be able to carry cash around. It's a privacy related issue. You should be able to.
Yep, there's the privacy one. Yeah,
that's probably more the bigger thing for me is once you get rid of the privacy aspect, then everyone's forced into what is essentially going to end up to be the central bank digital currency. That seems to be the big narrative, and that's why I was saying there's a common flavour across the world. That seems to be where we're sort of trending, and for that to become a realisation, you've got to get rid of its biggest competition, which is not cryptocurrency, it's cash. So they've got to start taking cash out of the system.
And the other point is that once cash is out of the system, you are entirely reliant on the banks. Entirely. So if you're entirely reliant, and just bear in mind that the banks, they're private companies. They're not there like the government should be there for the good of the people, but a private company is there for profit, right? And does not care about the individual. So there's a lot of power that you're placing into the hands of the banks, right? They've already got a lot of power, but you're placing all the power in their hands because they can decide to cut you off. They can close your bank account. What happened to Kanye West? Didn't he get his bank account closed down?
Yep. Yeah. I think
somehow
somehow
Maddie Allen got his bank account closed down.
Yeah.
So
I think Adidas had something to do
with
with Kanye West as well, where they somehow got some accounts frozen or something as well. So I'm not sure how that all played out. But yeah, the general point is,
here's a good comment. We had a state blackout in SA a few years back, and we could not even get fuel from the pumps.
Yeah, that's
the other side
apocalyptic thing. I think there's once stuff like that starts happening, there's bigger issues.
There's bigger issues. There's like you're looking for food, fresh water, ways to just stay warm, potentially survive like riotous situations. You know,
that's when it gets down to that, mate. People aren't paying for things; it's looting and all sorts. So, yeah, it's more just an erosion of privacy and freedom, I think. And if you haven't realised this yet, I mean, we've already spoken about this previously, and a company that I invested in many moons ago has sort of morphed into a beast, which I think is pretty despicable, and that's the whole personal carbon credits and tracking of all your carbon footprint, which that's getting rolled out as we speak. And it's actually getting pushed out through Australia, and I know there was some other country I've seen that has just rolled it out as well, and it's on top of the Visa rails. So it's a plug into the Visa payments network. So your bank issues your Visa card, and in your bank app, these days are getting pretty clever where they can categorize all your spend. And companies are getting forced to, through this ESG policies that are getting pushed down upon us, they have to start being accountable for their carbon footprint. So then that flows down to the consumer. Well, if you're using this company and this company has this carbon footprint, then you represent this amount of that carbon footprint by using their services. So it's about building up a catalog of all your spends and accounting for all your carbon footprint. And initially, so the way it's getting rolled out initially is it's optional if you want to be a good guy and offset your carbon footprint. The figure that was in this particular company's documentation was, I think it was about for $25 or $29 a month, you could offset your carbon footprint, which I wouldn't be putting my hand in my pocket for that to begin with. But then that's going to turn into, that will become more of a voluntary thing where you're doing the right thing and being a good citizen to, okay, you've done this on your credit card. This was your footprint. We've allowed this much per individual and you've gone over it. So you're going to have to start paying for your usage, for your extra carbon credits. And that is a slippery slope you don't really want to go down, because the whole production of carbon credits and things like that, and that's just going to be another tax that's levied on top of everyone. It's essentially how that's going to work.
I mean, look, and that's another discussion altogether. But a tax that there is no, at this point, I don't see any real world accountability for how that tax money will be spent. How will that be spent? That's actually going to reduce stuff. I mean, they're saying there's going to be a market for it, but how will it actually make a difference in the world when we're a very, very minute percentage of that I guess greenhouse carbon emissions, I should say. I mean, unless you've got countries like China, India leading the way when it comes to that, it's probably not going to have much an effect. It's going to have an effect on us. We're going to be like, we'll be leading the world on that stuff, right? We'll lead the world, so to speak. But is it going to have an effect? And I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah. Look, I don't think it's ultimately going to. It depends on your take on the whole climate change thing and what's causing it and yada yada, wherever you're seeing on that. But I don't think these measures are going to fix that. It's just more.
But then it's like, the thing is that governments are great at collecting taxes, right? But how do they spend it? I mean, how are they going to spend it? That's what I'm focused on, because I don't know about you, man, but I feel like there's not many governments around the world that have done great in the last few years. They all seem to be.
If you could count it on one hand, you'd be lucky.
Yeah. Like I don't think so. I don't think there's. I can't think of any. Like, all the majors all seem to be going in that same direction, which ultimately ends up hurting, like, the individuals, the people like you and I, people in the chat. So yeah, like, I'm for clean tech and stuff. I see there's someone in the chat called free speech. But let's be realistic about it. Hey, let's not just impose stuff. We seem to be in a world where we just impose things. We just impose, and I guess, look, my view might be a little bit on the fringe. I mean, we had an election in Victoria. I'm not there at the moment, but we had an election in Victoria. I thought,
I can't believe the result, man.
Yeah, no, but I mean, Victoria is the most Labor state, and in Australia, for those watching who are outside of Australia, Labor is like the Democrats, I guess. They're on the left. So they were the ones who were in charge when we had, like, over the last couple of years, 2-3 years, and they're the ones who imposed the longest lockdowns in the world on everyone. So I don't know. I saw a lot of, maybe it was just a vocal minority. I don't know. I mean, clearly a lot of people didn't think it was, a problem. I've got friends who, like, we used to discuss it, and a lot of them just didn't have a problem. Mind you, a lot of them were in the public service. Like, a lot of them are teachers. A lot of them are in the public service. So me coming from, like, a business background where I, don't have that guaranteed paycheck every week, I have a different philosophy when it comes to things. I guess I don't. I'm not like my philosophy isn't like I'm sitting back waiting for government to save my ass. That's not my philosophy. I don't feel like that's what government should be. Maybe a safety net. But when there's loads of people employed, like, by government, basically, then I think that can be a problem.
I'll ask you this question, then I'll go into a little bit of a story. So where do you get most of your news from currently?
I would say there's not one particular spot where I get the most of it from. I see a lot of stuff. I see some stuff on Twitter. I see some stuff that I'll go look for.
Yep.
I see stuff on the news over here. And what I see is that like, wherever you go, like, there's echo chambers. So looking at all these echo chambers, I try and formulate like a balanced view of what I think's
Yep.
going on.
Yeah. So the first thing you said, where you said Twitter, that's the interesting comment I was going to sort of try and make. So on Monday, I got asked to go into. We've got a real estate agency. It's a representative body in Western Australia, and I was asked to go speak for a training day there and just teach them some cyber security. Now, it was nothing to do with blockchain. At the very end of it, we touched on decentralization of apps and things like that at the very end, but it was more just the nuts and bolts of cyber security and what people can do to protect themselves. And we're talking about social media apps and things like that, and just generally discussing that. And I just, as a sort of a show of hands, I said, because I said Telegram, and someone yelled out, what's Telegram? And I said, well, who here's got Telegram? And I think there was maybe 3 people. This is in a room of 50 people. And then I said, well, what about Twitter? Is anyone on Twitter? And literally no one, which I was absolutely stunned about, that in a room of at least 50 people and like good different range of ages and genders and things like that. I thought, it's got to be at least one person in here. So, and we, through the course of the day, when we're talking about all different security things, and someone brought up okay, well, what happens if I want to take my phone through an airport? Can people scan my phone and all that kind of stuff? And I said, well, did you not know that the Border Patrol can just take your phone off you and get your PIN and ask you to go through your phone and sort through all your messages? And everyone was just gobsmacked, shocked that this was allowed. And I said, how did that happen? And I said, well,
in Australia.
In Australia. Yeah. And they said, how did this happen? I said, well, this was legislation. It was passed about 12 months ago, while everyone was busy watching the AFL on a Friday night. Like, people literally, they're so unaware of what's happening.
Yep.
And I think us guys, that
the frog in the boiling in the boiling pot.
And it's not because they don't, it's not because they're not interested. They're just not given the information. Like in where they go for their feeds of news, it's just not shown. Like, you wouldn't know this sort of stuff.
But Jexa, I've said this to plenty of people, and do you know what the response I get is, which is gobsmacking to me? The response that I get from that is, well, what have you got to hide? What have you got to hide? It's like, no. That's not the point. It's not the point.
I didn't actually get it. Yeah.
They can actually go into, like, law enforcement can go into your phone and make changes. They can actually change things right here. So, it's a bit, it's concerning from a privacy perspective. Someone's saying I look like a priest.
You got like a little white thing showing on your shirt.
T-shirt. I'm gonna do up this top. Yeah, ain't no priest.
Look, I'm not hammering people, like, because someone Hex Machines just put in their crypto Twitter as a very narrow echo chamber, and it totally is. But I guess what you do get is you get a lot of different opinions, and you see probably unfiltered things come across your stream for the day, and half of it's shit, half of it's fake, half of it's good. You've just got to sort through it all. But I think at least you're given the opportunity to make it an informed choice for yourself. Put a bit of time in and do a bit of research, and at least it might send you down a rabbit hole and you find out things are bullshit, or it might send you down a rabbit hole where you go, oh shit, this is actually interesting and legit.
We're in a phase where people feel like they're powerless, and therefore they acquiesce to almost anything that government does. Government puts forward. I think, for example, I think there's a little bit of apathy as well. When it comes to like that going through your phone, for example. So, to me, that seems like just a violation of privacy. To me, that just seems like a violation of privacy, like straightforward violation of privacy. It's one thing if your phone is like taken by the police, and then you're charged with something, and then a court of law says, okay, we need to see what's in there because we, you know, you've committed the crime.
We think you've done something wrong. Yeah.
That's one thing, right? When there's due process. But when you put this much power into the hands of, you know, and this is not me like slinging anything at police. They're not the ones who came up with these ideas. Well, maybe they were. Maybe people higher up thought this was a good idea and you know, pressed for it to be the case. But look, ultimately, there are things that people can do. You don't need to have things on your phone in that way. Like, there are things that can be done. I mean, there are privacy things that can be done. Did you touch on any of those privacy things with the people?
We did. We spent
cybersecurity.
We spent. I went as deep as I could without sort of getting too tinfoil hatish and going off track. But we did cover a lot, and I think I made people. It was good to see this sort of, and this. I'll take a step back because you said people don't care about it. I think it's worse than that. I think they're just uninformed, uneducated, and don't know, which is actually way worse than not caring. Like they're just not informed. Because I'm pretty sure everyone in that room there, if I had said, do you think it's right that your phone can be taken off you and they can go through your messages, everyone in that room would have went, hell no. But they're just not aware of it. And so I think us guys that are aware of it, it's our duty to start bringing awareness to those sorts of things. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these presentations, these security things for this particular body. So yeah, I'm looking forward to using that as a bit of a platform, not to rant and rave, but at least to make people aware of what the hell's going on. Yeah. So
that's good, man. That's good. So what's something that can be done? Like, I believe for memory, I think it's Samsung has probably, like, the better Samsung phones have like a secure module or a secure chip in them where you can actually like store things in there behind like a pin, which I guess law enforcement can always go and find that and ask you to unlock it. Do you know, like, I'm not sure about the specifics on this. Can they do they ask you for your PIN? Do you have to give them your passwords, or is it?
Yeah.
Do you just have to unlock it, make it available for them?
Okay, apparently there's a bit of a nuance there. So I think they can ask for PINs and passwords as well, but they can't ask for your biometrics, which I think is weird. So they can't ask for you to put a thumbprint on or something like that. But I haven't confirmed that, so that could be bullshit. Regardless, these days, most phones, if you try and press your thumb on the phone half a dozen times and it doesn't pick up, then it'll say enter your PIN. So it goes to a fallback mode. So I think ultimately they could pick you up on that side of things. With the secure folder scenario, you can basically just at the point in time just before you go through airports, you can just switch that feature off and it'll delete all the shortcuts to your hidden apps and things like that. And I think it'd be a plausible deniability case that say, can you unlock this? And say, I don't even know what it is, man. So yeah, I think you'd probably get away with that, unless they were specifically looking for something like that and knew. Yeah.
If you want to be hardcore, you wipe your phone.
Yeah, you just or have a different travel phone if you're only going for a short time.
Yeah, but I guess that's okay for if you're traveling through customs and you just value your privacy, so you just delete everything off your phone, or you use some of these privacy features, assuming that they don't know about them. But even if they do know about them, you'd have to unlock it anyway. Otherwise, they can like come down on you pretty hard for not cooperating when it comes to that. So it's not as simple as I just see in the chat. It's not as simple as like, pleading ignorance, because they can say, what, you don't know the PIN to your own phone, like so
yeah,
they could.
to the first level of your phone, yeah, but to the secure folder areas, I think you could get away with that one. I would think.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because it's
So
not a given.
So while we're on the topic of privacy, let's touch on the and we'll get back to the, we can get back to the cash and money stuff. But on the topic of privacy and how it relates to crypto, what we've seen in the last few weeks is a change in policy from the MetaMask people.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some software that people use called MetaMask to connect to Web3 applications, dApps. And up until very recently, MetaMask wasn't tracking. I don't believe it's actually MetaMask that's tracking anything.
Nah.
It's the RPC that MetaMask connects to by default.
Which that's Infura. They Consensus own that as well, don't they? I think is my understanding.
I don't
know. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. It's so if you did change the RPC node anyway, that would fix that issue. But I think Hayden Adams did come out.
Assuming the RPC node that you're connecting to, the alternate one, isn't also logging information. So what specifically what we're talking about is logging your IP address and logging the address that is being connected to.
Mm.
So making that connection and keeping those records.
So this all stemmed from Uniswap getting blamed for something, though, wasn't it? So Uniswap was getting blamed for linking IP addresses and wallet addresses, and they said, "Hang on, no, it's not us. It's Infura or whatever is grabbing that information." So but you're right. I think it's just a matter of changing your settings in your MetaMask when using a VPN is the best thing to do. I think that scenario.
Yeah, use a VPN, connect through. Use a good VPN, a VPN that at least they say they don't log your details. That's a privacy thing. That's something that even the Prime Minister of Australia said a few years back. Malcolm Turnbull said you should be using a VPN. Why is it good to use a VPN? Because if you don't use a VPN, every time you connect to any website, they're logging your data. That's why when you search stuff, and you're not using a VPN, that's why you start getting ads that relate to that thing. Because that's how it's all connected in that way. They've got that IP address and they know that they can advertise to you. That's how the advertising stuff online is that's how it works. So if you're connecting through a VPN, then what they're getting is this generic IP address which isn't yours. So it's another IP address. So they don't know that they don't know your personal IP address. And mind you, there are maps online of people's IP addresses. Did you know? Did you know this?
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me, mate.
I'll bring it up, hey. So there's if you think it doesn't matter that anyone has that any website you go to doesn't have your IP address, how do you feel about your IP address being on a map? And then anyone that has that information basically knows where your network is in the world. They could actually just come to your in the vicinity of your location. So let me see. Can I see this? Does it show me? Let's see if I can see this map. All the networks found by anyone.
So while you're doing that, just quickly circling back on the phone thing, I think the main thing is just it's important to know you're right. So we're talking about all the tech issues here and how we can get around it. I think the biggest thing you can do is read up first of all and find out what they can and can't do and what your rights are with those sorts of things. So you're at least informed going through those scenarios, and you can actually educate other people as well then.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. I've got it. I'm just waiting for it to load.
So you just picked a random IP address and...
No. It's actually a website that has a map of the world, and then you can just zoom into any location and see IP addresses, or you can search by IP address. So, yeah. So, I mean, look, prevention is the best, I guess, whatever, cure, remedy, or whatever. So just, be private. And that when we talk about VPNs, as I said, the Prime Minister of Australia suggested, Malcolm Turnbull back in the day suggested that people should use VPNs because it depends. We're talking about companies that are collecting your data and selling that data. They're selling that data to advertisers.
Yeah, so, I think with VPNs, at least you're putting another layer of abstraction in there. Ultimately, it all comes down to trust at some point, but all you can do is just keep putting more and more layers around whatever it is you're doing, just to make it as difficult as possible.
And this brings us back to the same, I guess, so we come back full circle to the whole cash and, or using a card. So if you're using a card, then, a company like Visa or MasterCard knows exactly what you're spending money on, what you're not spending money on. That's a private company. Let's not forget, that's not government. That's a private company. If government wants to collect some data of their citizens, you live in their country, there's laws. Okay, I can stomach that. I can stomach that because that's the country you live in, and if you don't like it, you leave. Right? When it's government that is making decisions that empower private companies to a point where they have this data which could be used, I guess it could be used against you, under the right circumstances. I have a problem with that, and I think people need to be aware of it, and that's why I was talking about that video. If you're Australian, go look at that video, the front line in the war on cash. It's on the YouTube channel Walk the World. That's Walk the World. And then in the description below, there's details of what you can do to contact the senators who could perhaps if they've got enough people, if they've got enough people. I mean, we live in a representative democracy. So if you're contacting the minister or senators, then they're seeing that, and they can, they should be voicing that concern. They should be voicing that concern and, taking that into consideration. And that's all we can really do. Yeah. That's all we really can do. That's as much power as we have, apart from when we go to the ballot box.
I honestly think more power is in informing people. Like, when you're just speaking to people, let them know what the hell's going on. You don't have to go full conspiracy nut job on them, but just, if the opportunity comes up, just educate them a little bit about what the hell's going on.
Yeah. Look, conspiracy nut job does not convince the average person. It makes them run in the other direction. But when you're talking about things that they may not be aware of, when it comes to things like, IP logging and things like this, a lot of people don't know and have never given it a thought. They just assume that the internet is a safe place.
Yep.
And it most certainly is not. I mean, let's talk about data breaches. Yeah. In the last few weeks, Medibank Private had a data breach.
Yep.
Names, addresses,
and Optus was, which is our probably second biggest telco, I think. Would be pretty much up there. So Optus had a breach as well. Lost a whole heap of user data, driver's licenses, all that sort of stuff. So there was,
and very, very recently, WhatsApp just had a massive data breach, a massive one, leaked onto the dark web. Like I'm not even sure how many millions of numbers, like and private details, have been leaked, but massive, massive numbers. So that's something that people have to be aware of. Yeah, if you're, I'm sure everyone has. You probably don't realize this, but there's probably everyone who's watching the stream has had their details stolen, and you probably receive spam emails. You probably receive all sorts of stuff, and that's fine. There are spam box controls that filter a lot of that out. But it's something that you got to try and protect yourself. There are services that you can use. I've been using a service where you can not use the same email address. You can create a new email address for everything you sign up for, and then you can decide whether you want to just turf that email address in future. So you might sign up for something, and then you just you got to sign up to a website. Do you want to sign up to a website with an email that has your name, your first name, and your surname in it? Probably not a good idea. Yeah, probably not a good idea. So if you can create a new email address and you sign up to that website with it, and then in future, if you start getting spam, you can see that they're sending it to that new email address that you created, and you can just you can nuke that address completely, and then it's gone, and then they'll just get sender errors back.
For people who may not know this, so Proton emails, so you can obviously create them for free, and they can be anonymous. You don't have to put in any details to get a free address. So just basically create an email address, and away you go. You're not giving them your name or anything like that. And if you want to go onto their paid services, you can also pay using Bitcoin. So you don't ever have to dox a credit card or anything like that for these guys. And then they actually have a service so once you pay for their pro service or whatever they bloody call it, that gives you access to one of those services you're talking about, where you can basically create unlimited amount of email addresses for signing on for each different service you want, and allows you to reply from that email address and everything. It's getting to that stage now where you got to do that shit. It's the amount of information every time you go to a website now. So most commerce is done online these days. That's just the way we're moving. And every time you go to any service, they want an email address, phone number. The one that I really hate is the phone number, because that just ties.
I hate the date of birth, bro. No. When they ask for a date of birth, I'm just like, what? Why do you need my date of birth? Why?
Yeah, I just use all fake shit and stuff like that. I never put real dates, unless it's something like a service that you have to do that. Why would you put your real details into any other service?
Look, I put my details into government stuff, that's better.
As
a director of a company, there's you can't avoid that. It is what it is. And look, if you've got a passport, if you've got a driver's license, they've got the database with all your details anyway. So you know, as long as it's a government thing, and as long as they don't get breached, I'm cool with it, but yeah. Hey, I want to shout out to everyone in the chat who's, participating. If you've got questions, you've got anything you want to say, just write it in there. Thanks for the super chat, Fiat. Let me just say that Jexa and I, we come on stream. We don't get paid. We don't make money. We do this because we like to chat about this sort of stuff, and the money that you contribute goes to the Discourse Syndicate, and they do things that are in the interests of the HEX community, the HEX PulseChain, PulseX community. Yep. So thank you very much for the super chat. It's much appreciated.
One of which is our fighter Jake Lund, who's got a fight coming up in 11 days or so.
Yes, Jake Lund.
Jake Muay Lund Thai. On the 10th of December, he's going for a diamond belt. Correct? That's
let me see.
Fighting Matt, someone.
Hang on. Let me see. I had that. I think
usually they stream those as well. So a lot of people jump in a green room and watch a stream. So keep your eyes and ears out on the Twitters. Someone might post a link so you can check it out.
Let me see if I can bring something up.
I think it's Rise Championships. They usually live stream it from their website as well. It's a pay to view arrangement. Yeah,
let me play something. Hey, let me see if I can play something. I haven't seen this. Let's see what it is. Okay, Jake Lund ahead of his upcoming showdown with George Mann for the WBC Muay Thai light heavyweight, diamond title on next week's Rise Championship show in Brisbane. So this diamond title is like, you don't retain this title. This is a title that people get to fight for, and they get to win it, but you don't defend it, you don't keep it. And very, very few people have ever been given the opportunity to fight for this title. So, Jake Lund is a Hexican. So
that's been good. It's been testing me in new ways that I haven't been tested before. It's been hard, and I'm excited to see the end result. The diamond belt's amazing with Sancho and Bukow winning it, which are two of my favourite fighters. But the fight means more to me now than just the diamond belt. I'm a sharper striker than George. If I turn up and am on my game, I'll beat anyone in the world. It's in my backyard. I wake up and train in Brisbane every day. It feels like this guy is just coming and knocking on my doorstep and waking me up, and it's not going to be pretty. Hi, I'm Jake Lund, fighting on Rise Championship December 10 for the WBC Light Heavyweight Diamond World Title. Get your tickets or watch live at risechampionship.com.au.
And for those people who haven't seen, Jake fight before, he's a bit of a beast. When he unleashes,
he's a technician. He just pieces people apart. He's very, very good at what he does. Very, very good. And when he says,
do you think this will be his toughest fight yet?
I think so, because I feel like the first fight that I saw, like from when he became a Hexican. I think that like the guy was like an MMA guy who was having it was almost like a warm-up fight, but the guy was like tough as nails. That first guy was tough, that he fought was tough as nails. He was really, really tough. He took a lot of punishment. But like Jake was he put on a clinic and pieced him up. The next guy he fought was like a Muay Thai fighter, and he was very good, but Jake was just a level above. He was just a level above. It was like a student fighting a teacher. So this one's going to be interesting because clearly this other fella, George Mann, to be fighting for the diamond belt, he must also be very good. He must be very good to be fighting. You don't get to fight for the diamond belt unless you're very good. Looking forward to that in a week and a half. really looking forward
For
to
sure.
that in a week and a half. Yeah.
And yeah, congrats to all the guys that are going to be there live to watch it. I know I think there's 2 tables of hexagons going there, so it'll be a nice, fun event to be part of. Hopefully, we'll get a few snaps and videos from the guys that are there as well.
Yep.
So Crypto Class has just dropped something in there. What have we got? Biggest joke of the year. FTX steals billions of investors' money and hides in shell companies called FTX, blah, blah, limited. So apparently they've got a whole heap of houses, not only in the Bahamas, but apparently they're finding quite a few in, what's it called? Over in United Arab Emirates, Dubai. Apparently he's been on a bit of a spending spree over there as well.
120 mil, 19 apartments.
No, in Dubai, I think it's above and beyond all that. This is a whole new raft of things they're finding out now. So the money has been getting whittled away for some time, I think.
Yep. So FTX is a centralized exchange. So they see crypto gets a bad name because of, companies like FTX. People say, oh, crypto collapse, FTX collapse, crypto's like, in the doghouse. That's just like FTX is sort of like a crypto bank. So when you take your money to the bank, once you give them your money, you don't hold your money anymore. They're holding it. They're the custodians. FTX is the custodians of your crypto, but once you give them the crypto, you're sort of like an unsecured creditor. So you don't really have many rights when it comes to getting that money back if they just, piss off with it, which seems to be the case right here. It seems to be the case that the people who are unsecured creditors are probably not going to get their money back. Maybe they will. We don't know. We don't know at this stage.
I'm wondering if you
it highlights one thing that's very important, that where it's avoidable, you don't want to give your crypto or pass your crypto to companies which are custodians. You can hold your own crypto, right? And that's what we come on stream to talk about as well. We like to talk about DeFi, decentralized finance, real decentralized finance, and real crypto, which is crypto that doesn't involve middlemen, doesn't involve you relying on a third party to hold your private keys.
I think we're going to need a new segment where we pour one out for the new centralized authority that's gone down in the last week, because I think we've had one notable one come out and confirm this week as well, haven't we? So in BlockFi, they've finally made that announcement public now, haven't they? So they've filed for bankruptcy as well. And I don't know how true it is. I'm hearing whispers about Nexo, but I don't know whether that's true or not. That could be just that. Could be just rumors, because they're still preaching that they're churning out 10% APYs on stable coins. I don't know how the hell they're doing that in this market, but anyway, they might be doing something right, or they could be full of crap.
Why are we called the HEX Late Show anyway? We're called the HEX Late Show because HEX is an immutable code that's on a blockchain, which allows you to lock up the native token, lock up that token, and the longer you lock up that token, you get paid back in that token. So you get more of that token. It's like you're getting interest, sort of like, when you put your money in the bank. The difference is there's never any guarantees of what the price is going to do, right? There's never any guarantees of what the price will do in any crypto. We don't know. All we have to rely on is just looking back at the history of crypto and what crypto has done, and then making our deciding what we're going to do based on that. If you want to, you don't need to. You can make your decisions based on other shit. You don't have to look. But that's what I've always done. I've always just looked back and seen what crypto's done in the past and tried to learn from that. But always keeping in mind that there's no guarantees when it comes to crypto. There's no guarantees. But one thing that is guaranteed when it comes to the HEX contract is the immutable code that's on the blockchain. That's on the blockchain. It can't be changed. It is what it is. There is no middleman that decides whether you get paid or not. You can stake, and then at the end of the stake, as long as you follow the rules that have been coded into the contract, you will get your principal and then the yield that has been generated for the time that you've locked it up. That is, and it's this contract. It's crazy, right? This contract has copped a lot of shit in the crypto community for 3 years. Like, it's copped a lot of shit, and we're almost up on 3 years right now, because I think the HEX contract was deployed on the 30th or
it might have been, it might have been the end of November, wasn't it? What was the other? There's another date that sticks in my head. 19th of December. What happened then?
The 19th of December or the 19th of November. The 19th of November was big payday.
Was it? Okay.
Because that 19th of November 2020, but HEX came out in 2019.
19, yeah.
And the 2nd of December was
2nd December. That's the one. That's the one I'm thinking of. 2nd December.
But that's because there was like something happened. It got deployed earlier though. The contract got deployed earlier than that. But it's like people started being able to. I'm not sure whether, like, when you put stuff into the adoption amplifier, whether there were a couple of days there before you could actually take anything out. I'm trying to think what it was.
Or I wonder if it was the free claims or something. Don't know. Not sure. Could have been free claiming.
I can't remember. 3 years ago. Come on.
It's a long time ago. That's forever in crypto. But yeah, so the code keeps running. We've watched all the centralized guys drop around the
100% uptime.
Yeah, 100% uptime.
I can only think of one other piece of software that's ever done that.
Which one?
Microsoft Paint.
I was going to say Notepad.
Dude, that shit always works. Microsoft Paint has been working flawlessly for like 15 years.
The operating system it runs on, that would go down sometimes, but Paint was always still good.
This is true. Sometimes. Actually, the blue screen of death has been like, I haven't seen the blue screen of death for a while.
Oh, I still get a few of them. Don't worry, they're still around.
You still get a few?
Yeah.
You still get a few of them?
But actually,
what have you been doing in the background, dude? You've been fucking with shit.
I've got a really clean system these days. The dodgy shit I used to get up to. But yeah, one of the things I said, so we're talking about viruses and how they spread at this chat I gave, and the big turning point for viruses not getting spread around so much on Windows machines was when we went from Windows 98 to 2000. So as soon as that changed the whole architecture of the system, and the biggest thing that ever happened was firewalls. As soon as firewalls were put on devices, that shut a lot of the virus shit down that used to happen. So I think all these attacks, when they happen, make things stronger. It's the same in crypto. We keep getting hacks and attacks, and whether they're real world or done by dodgy actors, it's what makes you stronger. So we're going through a bit of a pain point at the moment, but you usually come out of this stuff a bit stronger. So we just got to take a couple on the chin every now and then, don't we?
That's right. I like this comment from CryptoClaz. Nicotine is only for when you get white girl wasted. It's the only way I can come on stream, by getting white girl wasted. Although it is, we start the stream at 11:30 in the morning where I am. So
it's breakfast.
I've been actually drinking some really nice wine where I am right now. It's all like totally like organic stuff that's grown by family
You can see him stomping on the grapes, getting all the juice out.
Yeah. Nothing like a bit of toenail fungus to ferment.
Bit of extra flavour.
By the way, Crypto Class, I only smoke when I'm in Italy, believe it or not. When I'm in Australia, I never smoke. Ever. So,
Is
there
it?
you go.
So when we were along many years ago, when we were traveling around the world, we went through Italy, Spain, and I reckon per capita, Spain was probably the biggest smokers I've ever come across. But I don't think Italy was that far behind them either, are they?
No,
Is
Italy,
still like that over there, or
not as much, but still a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Well, I mean, the price of cigarettes here is not very high. I mean, how much is the price of cigarettes in Australia? A packet of 20 is like $30.
I fell off my chair the other day. Well, actually, I wasn't on a chair, but I was going through a bottle-o, and there was a couple in front of me, and he had a bottle of something. It was like $50 for the bottle, and his girlfriend said, "Oh, can I get a packet of ciggies as well?" And they put that on the bill, and it went from $50 up to $97. So it was like $47 for a pack of cigarettes.
Yep,
that's insane.
Yeah. So the packet of cigarettes that I bought here in Italy cost €4.
Yeah. What? €4. So that's like $6 or something. Yeah, it just massive taxes on cigarettes in Australia. So trying to sting them for all the cost they have on the health system here is the general theory, I think.
Well, I don't see people smoking in Australia very often. Like I do not see people smoking.
Yeah, well, since they banned it in pubs and all that sort of stuff, that had a big impact.
Yeah. That is true. Things have changed so much since I was like 17, 18.
Yeah.
Like we used to like back in the day, people would smoke in pubs and, you know, happy hour on a Friday night was like, 6 till 7 o'clock. And at 6:55, you'd go line up, like you'd buy $10 worth of pots and just line them up for the next couple of hours.
And whether you're a smoker or not, you came home smelling like an ashtray?
Yes.
So it's at $285 for 6 packs of 30. What's that? And that's a discount when you buy me a carton, isn't it? What's that? Yeah, 47. Yep, $47 a pack, and that's buying it bulk. Jeepers. Gotta love you.
Hey, Dorsey 78 is like he used to smoke behind the bar while he was serving drinks. That's funny. Yeah, so guys, so if you're going to take anything from this stream today, it is go check out that other stream on Walk the World. If you're interested, if that's something that you care about, send the email, call like the relevant politician, send the email, do something which is going to bring it to their attention. Because and it's just an email. It won't take you long to do, right? It's like 3 minutes to do it. All the information's in that thing, and hopefully it makes change. It changes these politicians' perspective, or at least makes them aware that we do need to protect cash in society, and we have to not let private companies, aka the banks, make these decisions, right? Because this is something that's in the best interests of the citizens of Australia. The other thing we didn't really touch on was this idea of Australia Post being a place where you could do banking and them holding cash reserves.
Yeah. So basically what's happened is all the banks in Australia are en masse shutting down all their branches. So that means you literally can't really go and get cash. There's ATMs, but we've got a real shortage of lower denomination notes because you can't get lower denomination notes from ATMs. So all the cash is slowly getting taken out of the system. And so this was a known thing. All the banks were shutting down their branches and then offloading what would have been done at the teller to the local post offices. So they had to pay a fee, or they had to pay some penalty to the government to pass back through to the post offices. But what Day 43 is saying is this is an opportunity that if all of these post offices get turned into branches, then that keeps cash alive in the system as well. So the more the banks shut things down, if we can have something that pops up and takes its place, then it's a little bit harder to get rid of cash out of the system.
I would prefer that banks keep their branches open, by the way, because I think putting everything into, like everything
Government.
filtering into one service, like the Australia Post, then it's just one decision maker in the future who just turfs it. I would prefer that banks do what they're supposed to do and, offer cash. Someone saying, I'm dressed like a Jedi wearing headphones.
So you've been a priest, a Jedi, and a drunk white girl.
Everything. Dude, I do it all. I'd have to take my hair out to look like a drunk white girl. Although, let me just say, I would be a fucking ugly chick. Fucking ugly chick, man. So I'm glad I turned out the way I turned out as a guy. It's bad enough as it is being a dude. Like, if I was a woman, there'd be no hope.
What's your thoughts on the BitBoy SBF thing? Good, bad, or otherwise? So the Twitter space he's going to do.
Well, let's see if it happens. Yeah, let's see if it happens.
Sounds like it will.
What's it going to resolve? I don't know. Is it going to get people their money back?
Don't know. Well, it would be interesting to at least get Sam's take on it and see. Who knows? Maybe there is someone else that's been pulling strings. We don't know. Yeah,
perhaps, man. I saw everything I needed to see when I saw that debate with Eric Voorhees. I saw everything I needed to see. Like
definitely. I totally agree.
His maneuvering in that debate to like the justifications he was making. That's all. I understand where that guy's coming from. That's not where I'm coming from when it comes to crypto. He, in my opinion, is just doing what's best for him. He has FTX, so those rules are better for him, right? They're better for his business model, right? He doesn't want DeFi.
Agree.
DeFi makes him obsolete. Because it's just the beginning. DeFi has only been around for 2 or 3 years, really. So it's early days. It's early days.
I agree. Listening to him talk, though, he doesn't come across the guy that was an evil mastermind. Like, I just feel like there's more shit that we're not aware of.
I agree. I feel like there's people behind the scenes who are pressuring him in that direction. But it's clearly in FTX's best interests.
I know. No, from that policy thing, I totally agree. I'm just talking about the size of this thing he had. So the amount of funds that they'd taken in, the size of the operations, the 130 companies that they had set up. Like, that's not just 5 or 6 teenagers banging it out in a penthouse that have put all that together. Like, someone else has had to be involved in that. You're muted, mate. You're still muted.
He has 2 lawyer parents, right? So, and they're people in, like, they're clearly clearly helping him make decisions, I would say. Clearly.
Yeah,
but why are they in the
it.
Bahamas? Why they go to the Bahamas? Why not just chill out they were in the US? Why not just chill out in the US? Like, the only reason you would leave is if there's wrongdoing.
No, they were operating out of the Bahamas though.
Oh, were they?
Yeah. Okay. So you had FTX International, which was operating out of the Bahamas, and then you had FTX US, which was the registered entity for US users. So I think that's where they were primarily based, was out of Bahamas. But man, I can't believe someone's got there. He's just walking around. Yeah, I can't believe this dude is just strutting his stuff, walking around like nothing's happened. It's insane. So there's got to be more to it, and it's going to be.
Wasn't
intriguing.
he playing like some online game or something? Like he was just playing some like World of Warcraft or some shit like that online while all this stuff was going down. Like after when everything was just collapsing, he's just online playing games. Bro, at least change your username. At least change your username. Like, go in as someone else. Like, just try. Fucking try, bro.
I don't think he cares. That's the thing. Like, it's insane. And like, if you were in any way thought you were going to get rolled by the SEC, feds, or whoever for all the shit that you've done, and he's just literally on Twitter like it's a normal day. Like, it's fucking crazy.
So do we think the SEC, like, it's based in the Bahamas? So I guess what matters to the SEC is like, were there US customers? If there are US customers, then the SEC is probably interested in that.
So on the US entity, yeah, but on the international entities, I don't think. Yeah. Not sure how that works.
Crypto Class is saying there are no minimum requirements in the Bahamas to be a digital exchange. Okay, I didn't know that. I heard that if you're a citizen of the Bahamas, you can't open. Is it an exchange?
A casino.
That's a casino. Yeah, casino. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. But even you may not need to register or get a license for an exchange. But if you straight up are stealing people's money, I don't know, how does that? If you're committing fraud, surely they've got to have some protections against that. You would think. I don't know. Very weird situation.
Man. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're going to find out. We're going to find out what happens. But look, as I've said in previous streams, a lot of people who are hexicans, I guess, have been indoctrinated with the idea that you need to hold your own keys to your crypto. So, I don't think many hexicans have lost funds in FTX. I don't know that for sure, but if they have, they certainly haven't listened to what's been talked about in the community for years. And this is something that Bitcoin community have been talking about for many years. Not your keys, not your crypto.
I'm gonna call BS on that though, because you see these tweets saying, "Oh, Bitcoin maxis weren't telling you to do this," but that, like, Pomp was an investor in BlockFi. Pete, what's his name? The one, Knobhead.
Peter
McCormack. Actually, I like some of his interviews he's been doing, but he was out there promoting BlockFi as well. So they're saying, oh, the Bitcoin maxis weren't getting you into all of that shit, but they were the ones literally setting that stuff up. So they were building that infrastructure. And even same with, is it Jack Mallor? Is it Stripe? No, not Stripe. Strike. Like, that's got centralized components to it as well. So they can't have it both ways. You can't just be about Bitcoin, but then you're introducing all these centralized arms off the side of it and saying that, we warned everyone, because they're setting this shit up. So they're trying to get more and more ties into to the legacy world, which I understand why. Like I understand about having Bitcoin as the base layer, and that's what you keep as your sound money, and then you build all these other services off the top of it. But man, they're not guilt free in all of this shit. You're muted again, mate. Still muted, buddy.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Hex Machine. I trust BlockFi more than a smart contract. That's something that Peter McCormack said.
Correct.
Yep.
And then he followed it up with, they're not smart and they're not contracts.
Yeah. Well, you know, some people think that he's not smart, but that's another story. Yeah, look, I go back to the whole thing about you can't do better than a triple audited, or it's hard to do better than a triple audited contract which doesn't have admin keys, immutable. It's hard to, in my opinion, it's hard to do that. Hard to do better than that. And then if that wasn't enough at the time of launch, the fact that it's run flawlessly for 3 years and continues to run flawlessly, 100% uptime, that is something that you don't get out of any centralized entity ever. So, you know, I feel like I'm in the right spot. I'm in the right place. I think I've got the right ideals for crypto, and I think all the centralized middlemen, I can't wait for them to leave the space. Right? I think that, you know, for crypto to continue to grow, it needs to be based on these ideas of you holding your own keys. Who's got my number in Italy? Yeah. So, do you guys in the chat have any questions? Anything that you want us to touch on before we wind it up today? I'll give you a couple of minutes to think about it. Yeah, is there anything else? There was a clip. Let me see if I can find it. Just 1 second. There was a clip I wanted to show, which I guess ties. Where is it? It ties back into what we were talking about at the start of the stream, in relation to governments.
You got a clip you're going to play?
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find it. Okay, there we go. Let me see if I can get this up here. This is a Twitter clip by A-Bit HEX. I like A-Bit's content. He does a really good job of clipping stuff together, or just finding good clips. Let's see if I can bring this up.
I wish we lived in a world that was more
meritocracy.
I'm tired of seeing people on news that were always wrong about everything. But they're on news again. It's like we invaded Iraq. Like, how did that work out? We didn't even go back and address the fact that, like, oh, we messed up. And then you see how I did in Afghanistan. You're like, oh yeah, oops, that was stupid too. Who specifically individually was responsible for that, and what systematic changes are you implementing to make sure that doesn't happen again? And the answer is nothing. They're just ready to screw up more. And having 80-year-old presidents is trash. If I won't let you drive my Ferrari, I don't want you to be my president. It's terrible. We have so many powerful, smart, effective leaders in the United States, and yet what we get to run for office is the bottom of the barrel. Let's take Joe Biden. Joe Biden was basically a loser forever. He was against gay rights, and then he failed his way up to president. Even Trump, I would say for a television celebrity who's never been in politics before, I think he did very, 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 very well. I mean, who made progress with Kim Jong-un? Like, nobody. He did, you know? And then he tried to respond quickly to the word I can't say, or else you will get banned. I wish we lived in a world that was more of a
Was that the one? Was that the clip?
I'm not sure which one we're after. Sounded all right.
I think the what Abit said in that tweet was the government is wrong about everything. Richard Hart win on American politics. That was the tweet. So go find that tweet, give him a like.
We had a few new people join the HEX community over the last couple of days on Twitter. There was one quite a large account. Some chick can bend over backwards and shoot a bow and arrow while standing upside down or something like that. You see that one?
No, I didn't. Was that on Twitter?
yeah. Go check that out. She's got a lot of followers on. I think it must be on TikTok or something like that. Like blowing up on TikTok. She seems to be taking a shine to HEX, so it's interesting. See what comes out of that. Don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. We've seen a few people come into the community and sound like they're all good and then backflip on us. So we'll reserve our judgment, but definitely getting a little bit of engagement out of it.
Yeah. It's inevitable. It's inevitable that things like that are going to happen.
Yeah. Cheyenne Michaela, I think it's her.
Where's that? Oh,
Cheyenne Michaela.
Is that a Twitter thing? What's her name?
Yeah, that's her name. Oh,
how do you spell it?
I'll send you a link. So, a few people have. There you go in the chat. Sammy, you'd be across all of that, wouldn't you? You'd know what's going on there. Seems like a pretty switched on young lady and playing the game pretty well on the socials. So we'll see what happens.
Where's this video of her shoot?
Go to the pinned tweet. She's riding upside down on a skateboard, shooting a bow and arrow with her feet. I don't know how many more talents you can pack into one thing.
I can't find it.
Hang on, buddy. You can put this out for Shannon Michaela or something. I'll give you the tweet. You can paste that in for everyone to see. And she seems pretty switched on, and could be, if she's legit, could be a good asset to the community. I think.
See.
You put that in chat for everyone.
Oh.
I'm going to shoot an arrow at Joe Rogan's mushroom head with my feet, while balancing in a handstand on a moving skateboard. I'll attach the balloon target to a remote control car that I'll drive with my thumb. Alright, let's do this!
Whoa.
They have things called, where a particle can be in a super state, where it's in a state of moving and it's still at the same time.
I'm going to shoot an arrow at Joe Rogan's mushroom head with my feet, while balancing in a handstand on a moving skateboard. I'll attach the balloon target to a remote control car that I'll drive with my thumb. Alright, let's do this!
Rules go out the window when you go subatomic. They have things called, where a particle can be in a super state, where it's in a state of moving and it's still at the same time.
I'm going to shoot an
Talented young lady.
You're saying she's a hexagon?
Well, I don't know whether she's a hexagon, but she's come out and been positive on it and had a bit of interaction with Richard, I think, and she's got a few hexagon follow-ups. It's happened before, but she seems like she's pretty.
Oh yeah, she's definitely sounds like an Aussie.
Yeah. Yeah, I was saying Aussie or Brit, not sure.
Sammy, I'm not vaping. No, it's like an induction thing. So it doesn't burn the cigarette. Just heats it up.
Yeah, it doesn't say where she is. Quantum Field is where she is located.
Yeah, ask her to come on stream. Ask her to go on your, because CryptoClass has a stream that she does. It's an awesome stream. Yeah, definitely get her to come on stream. And if you get that, we'll definitely shill it for sure. But yeah, I think we've sort of we've done our dash, mate. Unless you've got anything else.
No,
anything else you want to?
No, I've got things I've got to get on to tonight. So good to make this one short and sweet. It's good to catch up with everyone.
Yep, absolutely. I want to just big shout out to everyone in the chat. You guys are awesome. Appreciate the your participation and the super chats. And yeah, once again, we're all about DeFi. We love DeFi. We think DeFi is the way of the future. I think it helps people. I think it's going to help people. Price appreciation or depreciation aside, we don't know what prices are going to do, but we do think that being in control of your own digital assets is a good thing. And I hope that there's more of it in the future. Anything else you want to add, Jexa?
Yeah, I can, from personal experience, and I know we hear this all the time in this space. We always hear that we're still early. Guys, we are so early, it's not funny. The conversations I'm having with these groups of people in these security presentations, they got no idea what's going on in this space. Very few people actually do. We live in our little bubble here, and we think everyone knows what the hell's going on. We couldn't be further from the truth. There's a small segment of people that are here and know what's happening. So if you're still here now, you're in the right place. Is it going to be an easy road? Hell no. But hey, that's it. Get out, educate, stick with it. If we don't fight for this, we'll lose it. So yeah, hang in there, guys, and yeah, keep going strong.
Absolutely. And that's a great note to finish on. Guys, make sure you smash the like before we wind up. And we will see you again next week. Thanks a lot, Jex. I appreciate you coming on because Tangent, as I said, he was unable. Bluey doesn't like getting up at 4 a.m. in the morning. Fair call to him. But we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Cheers, guys.